Negative feelings towards immigrants are at a decades-long high, with 45% of Canadians saying that there are too many immigrants coming to Canada. And I think that it's very fair to say that this is a sentiment that crosses party lines. But when we look at what it was historically and what it is now, it's very interesting to see why. Like, this is the highest amount in my lifetime, with the next closest spike happening after 9/11, one that very quickly went down and led into a plateau. And I don't think that this is necessarily about negative sentiments about immigrants. I think it's about negative sentiments about the housing prospects as we bring in more immigrants. And there's a lot that goes into this. Like, even in Ontario, we don't even know how many international students that we have in our province that are taking up housing. And on top of that, we're going to be bringing in tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of immigrants. And the question is, where are they going to live? Immigrants almost always settle in the core GTA. And as much as Doug Ford is talking about building more houses than ever before, in 2023, we actually built less houses than in 2022. As Doug Ford continues his work, we're actually building less houses per year, with the only government actually increasing the amount of housing starts being the NDP government in BC. So I don't think this upward trending view of immigrants has anything to do with actual immigrants. I think it has to do with domestic internal policies specifically regarding housing. Because for the most part, Canada has been a fairly welcoming place to immigrants. That doesn't mean that we don't have our own issues of racism, but we as a culture acknowledge that we are a mosaic, and bringing in different people is how we grow. It's our strength. And this is a trend that we're seeing worldwide, but when things get tough for the average citizens, the things that you think are core to the beliefs of your country, they can get thrown out the window pretty quick. We are living through a massive time of change. The next 10, 20 years, I'm not saying they're going to be hard, but they're definitely going to be different. And if you want Canada to maintain the values and ideals that you believe that Canada is, we have to continue to want that for ourselves, but we need to push our governments to create the country that will allow us to foster that environment. And that goes for all levels of government, federal, provincial, and municipal. Because if any of those levels of government prevent us from building multi-unit housing or otherwise housing that would create density or otherwise housing that would allow for more people to live in those places, it's going to make it impossible for us to bring in more immigrants. It's going to make us more xenophobic, not because of the actual fear of immigrants, but because of the fear of what might happen to the standing of people who currently live in this country. So we need to do better. We need to be better.